Today we'll just need the normal props, so blocks, blanket, strap, they're all optional, and then maybe a wall if you would like one when we get to balancing stuff. Okay, awesome. So Barbara, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you. And then we're all gonna start on our backs today. I got you, Barbara. And then once you find yourself on your back, the first thing I'd like you to do is just come to a Shavasana type position. Our sequencing of events today is kind of atypical from a normal class, but that's probably typical for how I teach, so it'll be fine. So you're going to spend the first couple of breaths here, and I want you to just notice what it feels like to really settle into the body, to really just allow yourself to be as you are. And then start to notice whatever happens to be present at this moment. We're focusing on balancing today, but I think one of the biggest keys of finding balance really comes with just bringing our awareness to the present moment and noticing what things might be knocking us off balance. This is both literal as well as metaphorical. So as you're just settling in now, I'd like you to start to become aware of your breath. And if it helps, you might just take an audible exhale out of the mouth and then take an audible inhale followed by another audible exhale. And at some point, you might choose to close your lips and just allow the breath. Good morning, Laura. Laura, we're starting on our back, and all of our props today are optional. We might use a wall at some point for balance. Okay. Awesome. And as you continue to breathe here, we're going to start to turn our legs into a neutral parallel position. So make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. And the first thing that I'd like you to do is I'd like you to start to push down into your heels, push down into your calves, pull your kneecaps up. See if you can engage the backs of your hamstrings, backs of your glutes, as though you're standing on your legs, and then you'll relax that. And you'll do that about 5 times, really just engaging all the muscles of the legs, flexing through the feet, feeling the backs of the legs engage, and then relax. So we're trying to start to wake up the muscles of the legs, as well as specifically focusing on the muscles of the glutes, the hamstrings, so that we can have a firm, steady, solid base. I'll do probably one more time because I wasn't counting, but I think you were on 4. Awesome. And after you've done your 5th little relaxation, let's go ahead and turn our legs parallel, engage both legs once again, and then just start to drag your right foot up towards your hip and then the right knee up towards your chest, and draw your hands across the front of your right shin. And from here, you might point that right foot, you might keep the right foot flexed, you might choose to circle the right ankle, but your left leg is super solid. So you're still standing on that left foot as though you were standing up. And if you've taken ankle circles one direction, please try the other direction and see how that feels. And then after you've taken ankle circles evenly between both sides, go ahead and come to stillness. And now you'll just circle your thigh bone in your hip. And as you're doing this, pay attention to what's happening in your left leg. Don't let the left hip really move. So you're trying to imagine that you are actually standing up on this and isolating the movement in your right hip. And then go ahead and switch directions if you have not already. And you're just noticing what you notice. And then as you come to a sense of symmetry between the sides, let's open the right knee towards the right armpit, really drawing it still close to the chest. And then pay attention to what's happening in the left leg. Is the left outer hip still rooted onto the floor? Maybe the left arm comes out to the left for counterbalance. Maybe you want to draw your hand, your right hand, to the inside edge of the right thigh, maybe grab the outside edge of the right foot, maybe take a half happy baby, but you're really paying attention to what's happening on the left side. Left sit bones rooted, you're breathing, that left leg is active. Fantastic. Very gently draw the right leg back to center. Go ahead and start to cross the right leg over to the left side of your body. You might need to bump your hips back to the right a bit. And then again, pay attention to what's happening to that left leg. Is the left leg flexed and active? Yep. Maybe the left hand comes to the top of the right thigh, and then draw your right hip down and away from your face, and maybe look towards your right hand, and then maybe reach your right arm on a diagonal. And you're just breathing all along your right side body. Your right hip is drawing away from your face. Maybe the right arm is reaching up on a diagonal. Maybe you're looking at the right hand. You're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what's happening here. Fantastic. As you're ready, you'll gently come back through center. Go ahead and plant both feet on the floor, and then slide your right leg forward to meet the left, and just notice what that feels like, if you notice anything different between the sides. And you can be like floppy here. So if your legs externally rotate naturally, just go ahead and let them stay in that rotation. And then just as we did a couple of minutes ago, I want you to flex through your feet. Now your legs are slightly externally rotated. So you're going to push into your heels, push into your calves, push into, or rather engage the backs of the hamstrings, and then relax and let that go. And you're going to do about 5 to 10 of those. So you're just noticing how when you externally rotate, maybe now you feel more of your glute med and glute men as you do this. Notice as you do this, if you can engage your adductors. So those are the muscles on the inner edges of your thighs. And then my hypermobile people, make sure you're not hyperextending in the knees. So to do that requires that you actually do push your calves sort of down to the floor, even though you're engaging them. It's kind of a weird sensation. And of course, I wasn't counting, so you're doing somewhere between 5 to 10. So we'll do about one more. Well, that was 5. Thank you, Roberta. And then let's go ahead and bring our legs back to parallel and hip distance apart. Keep your right leg as it is. Draw the left knee or left foot along the floor, and then draw the left knee into the chest. From here, hands come to the front of your left shin. And then again, you might point or flex that left foot. You might choose to circle your ankle, but you're just paying attention. Right leg is super active. You're breathing. You're paying attention to what's happening right here and now. If you've gone one direction, please switch sides if you haven't. Great. And then when we're balanced between the sides, you will now draw little circles with the thigh. So the right hip stays rooted and the left knee makes the circles. And you're just really paying attention as though you were focused on standing on that right leg. The left leg moves just to an extent where you're not gonna topple over. And then go ahead and switch the direction of your circle if you haven't. Fantastic. And then when you feel balanced and equal in terms of the rotations, you'll open the left knee out to the left. The right arm might come to the right to counterbalance. The right leg is still super active. So make sure you're pushing out through that big toe mound, pushing down through the heel. And some of you will just keep drawing the left knee up towards your left armpit. Some of you might slide your left hand to the inside edge of your left leg and grab the outside edge of your left foot and maybe take a half happy baby here. But again, you're paying attention to what's happening on the right hip, right butt cheeks stays super heavy. Nice work. Yeah, you can root just right there, Barbara. And then as you're ready, you'll draw the leg back to center, cross the left leg to the right side of your body, perhaps bump your hips back to the left. And then again, right hand might come to the top of your left thigh. You might decide to draw your outer left hip away from your head, activate that right leg. So you're now externally rotated on that right leg. That's the under leg. See how you can push your pinky toes into the mat, flex through that foot, and then maybe your left arm reaches up on a diagonal as you look to the left, and you're just breathing on your left side body. Long, full, deep breaths. Nice work. All right, when you're ready, inhale and come back through center. Go ahead and extend both legs long once again. And just notice what you notice here. Great. Cool. Now for this one, I want you to separate your feet at least hip distance apart. Turn your toes in towards each other. And this is going to be weird, I'm not going to lie. You're going to flex through your feet as though you were standing in pigeon-toed. And just as we did before, you're going to engage all the muscles of your legs. So the calves, the hamstrings, the quadriceps, the kneecaps, the backs of your glutes, but your legs are internally rotated, and then you relax. And you might notice that this is a little harder than either of the previous two activities. And if it is, you're in good company. And if it is, notice where you might need to find a greater sense of balance. For me, I notice that glute min, so that's like where my butt and my hamstring come together, that part doesn't want to work evenly in this position. It also doesn't want to work evenly between the sides in this position. So just notice what's going on for you. That may be the same. It might be totally different, but that's okay. You're just paying attention. And then after you've done a total of 5, you'll come to a neutral position with your legs. Go ahead and bend both knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. And then take a little few pelvic nutations here. So inhaling, arching the low back away from the floor, exhaling, imprinting the low back into the floor, and just feeling how that feels in the spine. Noticing what's happening in your breath. Our sense of balance in many ways, metaphorically, and I'm not sure to what extent literally, we'll have to ask Laura about this later, but I think it really is impacted by how we're breathing. And so just notice what you notice. And then when you're ready, you'll come to a neutral spot. From here, extend your left leg up towards the sky, interlace your hands at the back of your left thigh, and you're going to actively push your left leg away from you as you reach up through your left foot. Just rooting that thigh bone into your hip socket, nice extension through the big toe mound, the inner edge of your foot, pulling the pinky toe mound down towards your face. And then as you're ready, you'll gently let go of your legs, externally rotate the left leg, bend the knee, cross the ankle to the top of your right thigh, draw the legs towards your chest, interlace your hands between the whole of your legs to the back of the thigh, front of the shin, wherever feels good to you. And again, just take a couple breaths. Some of you might use your left forearm to press into the belly of your left thigh. Some of you might rock a little right to left. Some of you might draw your shin bone down or pull your shin bone forward, and notice how that changes what's happening all on your left hip. Great. If you're in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. Gently release your legs, plant both feet on the floor. And again, just notice if you notice anything between the sides. Go ahead and extend the right leg up, interlace your hands at the back of your right thigh, really flex through that foot. Push the foot up, root the thigh bone into the hip socket, and you just take a couple of breaths here. Nice, big, full, deep breaths. Gently, you'll release the hands, externally rotate the right leg, cross the right ankle over the top of the left thigh, thread your hands through the hole, grab the back of the left shin front, or back of the left thigh, front of the left shin, wherever feels good to you. And again, maybe you're still, maybe you rock, maybe you press into the belly of that right thigh to draw it away from you. Maybe you pull your left shin bone down or pull your left shin bone forward towards your face. Just notice where you get a nice stretch on your outer right hip. Fantastic. And then from here, you'll gently release your legs. Go ahead and extend both legs up towards the sky now. So now we're trying to imagine that both of our legs are perpendicular to the floor. And I should have had you all turn around. Okay, you're going to open your legs. Thank you, Sandy and Barbara. You're going to go ahead and open your legs wide, and you can hold on to the outside edges of your legs. You can hold on to your feet, wherever works for you, but you're just going to feel that stretch across your adductors, the inner thighs, and you just pause and you breathe and you notice what this feels like. You probably feel quite a bit of stretch there. You can choose to stay here or start to bend your knees and take Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees open and splayed like a book. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what that feels like. Our balance requires a constant adjustment or readjustment, and we have to be alert and present in order to know what that is. And we're just starting to lay the groundwork for that. So from Supta Baddha Konasana or Upavista Konasana, you're going to draw your knees back into your chest for Apanasana, wind relieving pose. You'll start to tuck your chin to your chest. You're going to start to rock and roll along your spine 5 to 10 times, whatever works for you, until you find yourself sitting up. And then when you find yourself seated, if you need to turn around, go ahead and turn around. And then we're going to extend our legs long in front of us. And make sure if you feel like your spine is rounding at all, you're going to go ahead and sit on a blanket. Otherwise, you're just going to sit on your butt. But we're going to take a first Paschimottanasana. So let's just start to walk our hands forward. Maybe we reach towards the outer edges of our shin bones. Maybe we grab our strap and we put our strap across the ball of our foot. Maybe we just grab our feet. But you're just going to take a couple of breaths here. And you're paying attention to what's happening along the backs of your legs. You're paying attention to what's happening to your breath. You're just noticing what's happening here. We just got 2 more breath cycles here, long, full, steady breaths. Your feet are active. So that thing that we did at the very beginning, you're pushing down into your heels, back down into your calves, back down into your hamstrings, pulling your kneecaps up. You're doing all of that even as you're folding forward. Fantastic. From here, we'll gently release and come up. Go ahead and bend your right leg. Externally rotate your right leg and draw the right foot to the inner edge of your left thigh. And then again, we're going to walk ourselves forward. If you would like to use your strap, again, you can use your strap across the ball of your foot. You might just have your hands alongside your calf. You might grab onto your foot, but you're finding yourself in Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. And your left foot is very active. So you're still pushing down into the heel. You're engaging the muscles of the calf, the hamstring, the quadricep. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. Fantastic. When you're ready, you'll gently release that. Start to walk yourself back up to vertical. Hand comes to the outer edge of your right thigh. Draw your right leg back to neutral and then extend your right leg long. If you'd like, you'll just take a moment here to maybe bring your hands alongside your hips to push down into the floor a little bit and lift your spine just so you can feel that sense of neutrality. And then as we're ready, we'll try the other side. So left leg will bend, externally rotate your left thigh. Again, right leg is still super active. So right toes are pulling towards us. We're pushing down into our right heel. Our calves are engaged. Our quadriceps, our hamstrings are engaged. Well, hamstrings are being stretched, but we're still trying to keep that slight bit of tone. And then you'll walk forward. And again, maybe the strap is across the ball of the foot. Maybe you're holding on to your foot with your hands. Maybe your hands are just by your sides of your shin. It's totally okay where we are. We're just choosing what option allows us to have a steady, calm breath amongst everything else that's going on. Nice work. We've got 1 more breath cycle here. And at the end of your next exhalation, you'll slowly start to walk your hands back up, come out of the shape. Left hand comes to the outside edge of the left thigh. Go ahead and extend the left leg long. And now this time, instead of bringing your hands here, we're going to reach our hands up and we're working for Dandasana staff pose, but you want to see how long and straight you can make your spine. Fantastic. 1 more breath here. Next exhale, hands open out. Go ahead and bend the right leg again, bend the left leg again. Your left leg is going to slide underneath you to the right. And then your right leg is going to cross over to the outside edge of your left thigh. From here, let's wrap our left arm around our right thigh. Right hand can come out to the right. Again, push down into your right hand, pull your right thigh into your chest, press your right thigh into your left arm, lift up through your spine, and rotate towards your right. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what's happening maybe in the muscles in the back, noticing maybe what's happening on that outer right hip, what's happening in your right big toe, what's happening in your right hand. Fantastic. As you're ready, you'll inhale and gently come out. Uncross the right leg, unwind the left leg. Go ahead and find Dandasana once again, staff pose. So toes are pulling towards you, heel is pushing down, quads are pulling up. Nice work. Then we'll go ahead and bend the right leg, bend the left leg, slide the right leg underneath you to the left. Left leg crosses over the outside edge of the right thigh. Then again, wrap your right arm around your left thigh, left hand out to the left. Push down into your left hand. Press your right arm into your left thigh into your right arm. Lift up through your spine and then just rotate to your left. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing how that feels. Nice work. On your next in-breath, gently go ahead and unwind. Uncross the left leg, uncross the right leg. This time we're going to draw both legs towards us for Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together, hands to the outer edges of your feet, and just sit as tall as you can. And so we're not really doing too much. One of our poses that we're working towards requires external rotation, so we're just prepping ourselves for that. Fantastic. From here, let's go ahead and close our legs together. Make your way to hands and knees and make your way to toe squat. And then when you find yourself in toe squat again, big toes touch, tuck all 10 toes under and you'll sit as tall as you can. And for today, we're going to start by crossing our right arm over to the left, hooking our left arm around it. Pull your arm into you. So left arm pulls the right arm in, and then maybe you gaze towards your right as you push your right arm into your left. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what's happening perhaps on the back of your right shoulder blade, maybe what's happening in the soles of your feet, maybe what's happening in your breath. When you're ready, you'll gently release. And then we'll try that on the other side. So your left arm crosses over, your right arm hooks around. You pull your left arm into you as you push your left arm out, and then you gaze over your left shoulder. And again, you're paying attention to what's happening in your shoulders, what's happening in the backs of the feet, what's happening in your breath. Fantastic. Very gently release that. Go ahead and reach your right arm up, bend your right elbow, grab your right elbow with your left hand, and again, push the right elbow to the right, pull it to the left. If your toes are starting to talk to you, by all means, you can come and stand on your shins, release your toes and sit back. If you're happy where you are, you stay exactly as you are. Okay, on your next in-breath, go ahead and reach up through your left arm, up through your right. We'll bend the left elbow, grab the left elbow with the right arm, and then you push the left elbow to the left, pull it to the right, and you just take a couple of breaths. You notice how that feels. Nice work. Next in breath, up through the right arm, up through the left. As you exhale, both hands come to the mat. Pitter patter or extend the tops of your feet to the floor first. Pitter patter your toes if you'd like, and then take a counter stretch as appropriate. And you're just pausing and you're breathing, and you're seeing how that feels. Maybe you lift one end or both knees up and away from the floor. Maybe not. And then when you're complete with that, you'll sit back onto your knees one more time for Vajrasana. And just last little shoulder thing, interlace your hands behind your low back. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears, draw the shoulder blades down your back. And you can choose whether or not you want the hands to go straight down to the floor, or if you want to lift them up and away from the floor. It's dependent upon what works for you. And then notice if you want to drop your chin to your chest or keep your head more level, but you'll just pause and you'll breathe. Fantastic. And then when you're done with all that, go ahead and release that. This comes onto hands and knees. At this point, if you're using blocks, you might put them towards the upper outer corners of your space. And then you might choose to pad your knees with a blanket. So we'll make our way onto hands and knees when you're ready. And can I have you all turn actually sideways slightly on a diagonal for this, just so I can see your backs a little better when I make you do this? So Sandy, turn on a diagonal. So like maybe, there you go. There, fantastic. So this is not going to be fun, but we'll see how it goes. So let's go ahead and make sure our hands are shoulder distance apart. And then I want you to find one strong, long line in your spine. So it still retains its natural curves. There you go, Sandy. But you're pushing down into your hands. You're toning the low belly so the abdomen is hugging into the vertebra. And then from here, you're going to reach your left arm forward like you're shaking somebody's hand, just the left hand. Yeah, fantastic. And so as the left arm goes forward, you still think of pulling, especially your right outer hip back. And you're just noticing that this is surprisingly harder than one would think. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lower just the left hand down. And then go ahead and reach your right arm forward in opposition. And again, we want to make sure our spine doesn't really alter when we do this. Yeah. And then Roberta, tuck your chin to your chest just a little bit. Yep. And then send the center of your crown forward and your tailbone. Yeah, there you go. And you just pause and you breathe, and then go ahead and lower your right hand down and then send your left hand forward again. Okay. Sandy, send the center of your crown forward just a smidge. Up and then forward. There we go. And you just pause and you breathe. Okay. And you're going to stay there. Now, see if you can send your right leg back in opposition without changing anything. Without changing anything. See if you can send the right leg back in opposition. Ah, isn't that funny and hard? All right. When you're ready, lower the right leg down, then lower the left arm down. Great. And then let's go ahead and try that on the other side. So go ahead and send your right arm forward. And again, we want to find long vertebra. We are drawing our core to our spine. And then after taking a couple of breaths here, if you want to intensify it, then you send the opposite leg back. So that's your left leg. And we don't want anything to change when that happens. Yeah, look at us go. Fantastic. All right, when you're ready, lower the left leg down first, then lower the right arm. Okay, last time. Go ahead and send your left arm forward. And again, we're just finding how this works. And then when you're ready, you'll send your right leg back. Now this time, I want you to lift your right leg parallel to the floor. And without changing anything in your spine, lift up through your inner right thigh a little bit more. Haha, there you go. Fantastic. And then hug your abdomen to your spine. And we breathe for 3. There you go, Barbara. We breathe for 2. Nice work there, Laura. Nice job, Roberta. Nice job, Sandy. Sandy, lift your chin a little bit from the floor, just a little bit. Here we go. And when you're ready, go ahead and lower just the right leg, then the left arm. Fantastic. And then we'll try last time, last set. So go ahead and send your right arm forward, shaking somebody's hand, happy to meet you. And then when you're ready, you'll slide your left leg back. And then we start by lifting through the inner left thigh, external or internally rotating that leg just a little bit. Yeah. And then we hug our core to our spine. Fantastic. And you guys will breathe for 3, for 2, for 1. Fantastic. Lower just the left leg, then lower the right arm. Make your way to downward facing dog. This should feel like a reprieve, something you know, and something that's not too bad. And just notice how your down dog feels. How does your down dog feel? How do the legs feel? How does the breath feel? How does the body feel? Fantastic. From downward facing dog, walk your feet forward to Uttanasana, forward fold. Once you find yourself in your forward fold position, just separate your feet hip distance apart. Notice if you would like to grab opposite elbow, or if you'd like to have your hands on your blocks, if you want your hands on the floor, but you're paying attention. When we started the class, we imagined that we were standing on our feet. Now, what does it feel like to actually stand on your feet? How are the muscles of the legs engaged here? And how does that impact your pelvis and how the spine can sort of fall over the pelvis? Great. All right, let's move on. If you're in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. Slide your hands up your shin bones and find yourself in a halfway lift. So back to that Dandasana position. Send your pubic bone back. Yep, there you go. Roberta, center of the crown, head forward. Tuck your chin to your chest slightly for me, Erica. There you go. Yep, and then just Erica, not everybody else. There you go. And then from here, just bring your hands to your hips. You guys are very obedient. I'm sorry, but I appreciate that all at the same time. That's really bad. Okay, when you're ready, you'll start to bend your knees. And then you'll bring your spine up to vertical. So you're in chair pose. Now, once you find yourself in that chair pose, I want you to pay attention to how your knees feel. If you need to shift your weight back a little bit, shift your weight back. If you need to shift your weight forward, shift your weight forward, but pay attention to your knees. Awesome sauce. And so we're going to be happy little zombies in chair for today. So we're happy little zombies. And if you find that this becomes a little more than you want, you can bring your hands to heart center, but we're going to shift our weight to our right leg and come to the ball of our left foot. And you might start to come to the tips of your left tiptoes, and you notice that suddenly your glutes on both legs are like, yeah, that's fun. And by that, I mean that means they're working. And then you're going to take 5 slow breaths to straighten your right leg and draw your left knee to your chest. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. Okay, hands come to the front of your left shin. I felt like I was counting down, dun, 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 Space Odyssey or whatever the heck that's from. And then you just pause, and we're feeling again that stability happening in our right leg as we pull the left knee to our chest. Fantastic. And then when you're ready, you're going to gently just release the left leg. Notice what it feels like to stand on both legs. This is the first time we're vertical, and surprisingly, we started off on one leg. So just notice what that feels like. And then, of course, we have to do that again. So we got to go to the other side. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, hinge forward at your hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. And as you find yourself in Uttanasana, once again, just re-examine what's happening with your feet. Let your head be super heavy. Notice the engagement on the fronts of your legs that allows the stretch to happen on the back of your legs. And then on your next in-breath, we're going to lift our spine parallel-ish to the floor. So again, finding that long vertical spine as though we were sitting in Dandasana. And then start to bring your hands to your respective hips. Scoop your belly, hug those organs away from the floor. Bend your knees and bring your spine to vertical. And then you'll release your hands forward like happy little zombie chairs. And again, notice if you need to shift forward or back so that you're not feeling this in your knees, but you feel your legs really engaged. So quads, hamstrings. And then again, hands can stay forward, hands can come to heart center. It's totally whatever going to work for you, but you're going to start to shift your weight to your left leg. You're going to lift the right heel and then come to the ball or the toes of your right foot. And then 5 slow, steady breaths to straighten your left leg and draw your right leg towards your chest. 5 steady breaths. You're going to feel that left leg engage quite a bit. I, of course, stopped counting. But once you get to your 5th breath, you can bring your hands to the front of your right shin, root down into your left foot, pull that right shin to your chest, and you just pause and you breathe. Nice work. All right, very gently, we'll go ahead and release that. Okay, standing at the top of your mat, once again, inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your feet back, plank pose. So here's our first plank of the day. Now this is going to sound a little weird for today, not too weird, but just a little bit. I want you to walk your feet together. Okay, and then spin both heels to the right. And when both heels go to the right, I want you to pay attention to keeping your left hand pushing down and then squeezing your right butt cheek. That's the under butt cheek to lift your hips a little bit away from the floor. Yep, and then you're going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to push down into your left hand. Oh, Laura, you have two dogs now? That's fun. And then on your next in-breath, come back through center. Slide your heels to the left. Push down into your right hand. Squeeze your left hip and lift your left butt up just a smidge. Nice work. And you just pause and you breathe and say, hello, obliques. And then inhale, come back through center. As you're ready, you'll exhale, shift your weight forward, and slower than you want to, lower all the way down to your belly. Great. Once you find yourself on your abdomen, I want you to pay attention. We're still going to go into cobra, but I want you to pay attention today to what happens if you push your belly, push your sternum, push your pubic bone, everything down into the floor, and then think of dragging it forward to lift up. So when you're ready, you'll come into cobra, but you're thinking of pushing down and dragging forward. Wow, that looks nice, people. Okay, and then once you feel like you found your height, notice what's happening in your tuchus. Did your butt go to sleep? And if so, can you engage your glutes? And then notice if your legs went to sleep and can you engage your legs? And then maybe draw your chin to your chest just a little bit and see if that allows you to lift more of your chest forward by pushing down first. Nice work. When you're ready, exhale, lower all the way down. Those looked really nice, guys. Long spines. All right, when you're ready, come to hands and knees and then make your way back to downward facing dog. And you just pause and you breathe. And as you're in down dog this time, really pay attention to how your feet are angled. Are they parallel to each other? Are they slightly turned out? Are they slightly turned in? And notice how if you change that, what impact that has on your pelvis. Great. The end of this next exhale, bend your knees and walk your feet to your hands. Okay. When you get to the top of your space, separate your feet hip distance apart. Yep. And then find inhale, halfway lift. Awesome sauce. And we'll stay here in Ardha Uttanasana for just a couple of breaths. If your hands are still on your shins, actively push your fingertips into your shin bones. Actively push your shin bones into your fingertips. Notice how that gives you the length to push down into your arms and maybe lengthen your spine. Send your pubic bone back. Hug your organs to your spine, your vertebra. And then from here, you'll gently release your hands to your hips. Draw the shoulders onto the back and then send the center of your crown forward. Begin to bend your knees and then hinge at your hips to come to vertical. So we're back to that chair pose. All right. Now for this time, let's go ahead and bring our hands to heart center. We're going to still take that same lift off, but we'll go a little faster this time. So shifting our weight to our right leg, lifting the left heel, lifting the left toes, come straight up to stand one-legged Tadasana. Fantastic. Engage your outer left glute, externally rotate your left thigh, and then see where you can plant your left foot. Maybe it comes to the calf, maybe it comes to the thigh, maybe it's completely on the floor. I don't really care, but we're going to see how we can balance here. And as you push your left leg into your right leg, notice that the right leg can push back to engage in it. And then when we were on the floor, I asked you to engage the muscles on the front and the back of your right leg. Notice how you can do that here. And then how you can squeeze your underbutt on the left side. And then notice how that finds balance. There's a lot going on, but hey, we're doing it. All right, when you're ready, you'll gently internally rotate that left leg. Go ahead and replant that foot on the floor and release both hands alongside your hips. Take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes, but notice how you're breathing. Notice how the body's working. Notice how the mind is working. And then we'll add on. So we'll actually go to the other side. So inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. And exhale, hinge forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. From forward fold, you'll inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And we'll do all the things we did before. So again, lightly push your fingers into your shins. Push your shins into your fingers. Find the length through the arms to lengthen the spine. And then hug the organs away from the floor into your vertebra. From there, release your hands to your hips. Start to bend the knees and inhale, lever the spine to chair pose. Fantastic. Hands will then return to heart center. And then you'll start to shift the weight to the left leg, lift the right heel, and one graceful motion, come up to one-legged Tadasana. Once that right leg is at its peak, you'll engage the outer right hip, externally rotate the right leg, and then notice where you want to put the right foot. Maybe it's on the calf, maybe it's on the thigh, maybe it's on the floor. I'm not so concerned. But I'd like you to pay attention. How is the left leg working? The left leg might be wobbling, that's fine. The left outer glute muscles might be trying to engage, that's fine. The left inner adductor muscles might be engaging. The right foot, the right outer hip, it's totally fine. You just pause and you breathe and you notice. Fantastic. And then when you're ready, internally rotate that leg, release the leg, and release the hands. Cool. Little momentary reprieve, and then we'll try one more thing. All right, so let's go ahead and inhale, circle sweep arms up and overhead. On the exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Okay. And then from plank, you'll shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, lower in one piece. So belly, chest, and thighs all touch at the same time. Yeah, nice control. And then just as we did the last time, you're going to focus on pushing down and pulling forward to come into your cobra. So you push down, you pull forward, yep. And then once you reach your height, notice if the legs and the glutes are actively working to help you here. And it's very interesting that if you engage the glutes just a bit, it does allow you to find a little bit more length, which makes sense because the muscles work in opposition to each other. So that does make a lot of anatomical sense. And then when you're ready, you'll gently release that and lower it down. From there, come to hands and knees or plank pose and make your way back to downward facing dog. And just 3 breaths. And you notice what's happening in your down dog now. How can you find a little bit more length on your front body? Awesome sauce. Next in breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, walk your feet towards your hands. Great. When you get to the top of your space, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, fold in. From the depths of your Uttanasana, inhale and sit, Utkatasana. So imagining you're still unfolding, just like we did before. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so now that we're in Utkatasana yet again, we're going to take a slight variation. Of course we are. So go ahead and bring your hands back to heart center. Make sure, again, your weight is where it feels appropriate for your knees. Start to lift your left heel up. Now, staying with your knees bent, lift your left knee up. Cross your left thigh over your right, and maybe you tap your toes to the floor on the right. Maybe you wrap your right toes behind the back of your left calf. Maybe you still keep your hands in heart center or give yourself a hug with the left arm underneath. Maybe you double wrap the arms. Now we've added a lot of little variations with the option of maybe. What do you need to find balance for you? Maybe it's squeezing the inner thighs together. Maybe it's lifting the elbows. Maybe it's focusing your gaze on something that isn't moving. But when you're ready to come out, you'll gently unwind whatever steps you took in order to come and stand in Tadasana. And then you'll relax your hands alongside your hips. You'll take a moment to soften the gaze and close the eyes and maybe catch your breath. Sometimes when we're balancing, we stop breathing. So just notice what you notice. And then we'll go ahead and we'll try the other side. So inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, Uttanasana. Now, once again, we're going to unfold from the depths of our Uttanasana. So you bend your knees and you unhinge at the hips as you reach yourself into Utkatasana, chair pose. Cool. And then again, pay attention. Where do you need to shift the weight so you're not taxing your knees? Guide your hands to heart center. Start to shift the weight to your left leg. Start to make your right heel light, your right toes light. Lift the right leg, keeping the left knee bent. Maybe cross the right toes to tap the floor on the left. Maybe they wrap behind the back of your left calf. Maybe you give yourself a hug, this time with the right arm underneath, left arm on top. Maybe you double wrap the arms. Now, as you're balancing on this side, notice what you need to do to balance on this side. The left ankle may wobble. You might find that you need to hug your inner thighs together. You might need to lift your elbows or focus a gaze on something that is stable and steady. But when you're ready to come out, you'll gently unwind the steps you took and make your way back to Tadasana, top of mat. Fantastic. I'm going to just take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes. All right, do we have one or two more balances in us, or are we done with balances? Yes, we do. Okay, fantastic. All right, let's do one to just find stability and then we'll stretch it out. So hands to hips, shift your weight to your right leg, bend your left knee. Take your left hand to the outside edge of your left foot. Draw your left heel as close to your tuchus as possible. And again, we're rooting down into that right leg. And then see if you can hug your left knee so it stays in line with your right leg. So you feel a nice stretch across the quad of that left leg. And then again, left shoulder might come up to the ear, shoulder blade draw together on the back. We'll just pause here and we'll see how that's working. Fantastic. Let's release that. And then gently we'll bring hands to hips. We'll shift the weight to our left leg. We'll bend the right knee, right hand to the outside edge of your right leg. And then you hug the heel to your pelvis. You see if you can root down through that whole long, strong leg, which ironically enough, I feel like my glute med, my leg is really engaged on the left side. And then see if you can draw your right knee in line with your left, right shoulder blade onto the back body. Nice work. All right, let's go ahead and release that. Little stretch after that. So bend your knees once again. Cross your left leg behind you to the right. Yep. And then we're going to rainbow our left arm up and overhead. You can push your hips to the left if that feels fun to you. And then just pay attention with where your gaze is. Do you want your chin to come to your chest? Do you want to look underneath your armpit? Just pay attention to where you feel a nice stretch for you. Fantastic. Go ahead and draw that left arm back to the, or left hand to the hip, left foot back to center. We'll try the other side. So bend the knees. Step the right leg behind you to the left. Left hand stays on left hip, right arm rainbows up and over your head. And then again, notice where you want your head. You want your chin to your chest. You want to look under your armpit. You want to look up or forward. Just pay attention to where you feel a nice stretch on your right side body. Nice work. Right hand comes back to hip. Spine comes to vertical. Right foot steps next to left. All right, cool. From here, last time, inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, make your way back to downward facing dog. Just notice how your down dog feels. You'll take a couple breaths here and then make your way to child's pose. You just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Okay. Take 2 more breaths and then you'll walk your spine up to sit. Okay. Awesome. So at this point, if you would like to use a wall, that would be a great thing to grab. So if you need to relocate your mat to a wall, please go to a wall. Yeah, Sandy, you could turn sideways. We're going to take a dolphin, and I just want to give you guys the option to go up if you want to go up. Okay. So before we do anything, just because my sneaky core work wasn't so sneaky today, maybe there wasn't enough sneaky core work, but we're going to take a forearm plank before we do anything. Oh my God, Roberta, I love that. That's fantastic. You just moved it around. Okay, so forearm plank of your choice. Maybe give the puppy a kiss while you're going. And you're just gonna see what's happening here. And again, you're trying to pull your organs away from the floor. Yeah, look at that. And you just pause and you breathe for a couple of breath cycles. And then once you feel complete with that, you're gonna lower your knees and we'll make sure we're all together. Cool. All right, so next we're going to do dolphin. And if you want to do dolphin and have the option to go towards Pincha Mayurasana, your hands will want to point towards the wall. And you won't want to be more than a couple of inches with your fingertips if your fingertips are straight away from the wall so that you're not going to, risk hurting yourselves. So if you'd like to have the potential to go up, turn around so you're facing your wall. You also don't need the wall, but that's up to you. So we're going to come down. Let's go ahead and take prayer hands. Walk your elbows slightly inside of your shoulders and then round through your spine like little Halloween cats. From there, you'll curl your toes under and start to walk your feet to your face and lift your hips towards the sky. And if you get there and you're like, yep, this is where I'm staying, that is where you stay. There's nothing wrong with staying here. If you feel like you want to play with the balance, you might lift just one leg up and see how that goes. Yep, fantastic. You might then try to lift one leg and then you might want to kick the other one up. But it's okay to stop at any point along the way. It's all about balance. And to find balance, each one of us requires a little something different. Nice job there, Laura. Good job, Erica. Nice, Barbara. Sandy, I think you're using a little bit too much momentum. Yeah. Can you try it again when you have more energy? Or are you tired now? And Roberta, that looks very nice. Nice elf dog. Um, I was more controlled, Sandy. Okay, pause. You're lifting up from your elbows just a little bit. It's like you have to keep pushing down even as you lift your leg up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. When you're ready, you'll make your way into your child's pose and you'll rest. So, Sandy, what I see from you is that you're lifting out, but as you lift your leg and you lift the other leg, instead of keep pushing down, you're like pulling up on an elbow. It's light, it's not that extreme, but you want to keep pushing down so that as you come forward and you lift up, you're still stable. So keep pushing down. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, okay. All right, and you're going to rest in child's pose for a little bit. And then when you're done with child's pose, you're going to make your way onto your stomach in nakrasana, crocodile pose, or makrasana, depending upon which teacher you use. You'll make your way to crocodile. And you just take a couple of moments to breathe here. Couple of moments, couple of pauses, couple of breaths. And then once you're done with crocodile pose, you'll come back to hands and knees. One last thing before we go to our final shavasana. So again, I emphasized our order of operations a little wonky today, and so it's still going to be a little wonky. This point, we want to make sure that we have our blocks if you're using them and your blanket if your knees are sensitive. And you're going to then make your way back to downward facing dog. Okay. And then from your down dog, just step your right foot between your hands. Your hands might come to your blocks. They might stay on the floor. Reach your left leg back in opposition. And really see if you can tone all the muscles around your left leg as you reach your heart forward. Great. Gently lower the left knee to the mat or your blanket. And then just pull your heart and sternum forward. We're just looking for a stretch now coming across the front of our left thigh. You're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. And if you need to come up a little more, you come up a little more. If you're happy here, you stay here. Great. When you're ready, you'll shift your weight back. You'll straighten your front leg long. You'll peel the toes up towards your knees. And you push down into your right heel. You push down into your right knee and you feel your hamstring open up here. And then the sternum still keeps coming forward. The heart still keeps coming forward. You pause and you breathe. Great. When you're ready, you'll inhale and come forward, hands back to the mat, step your right foot back, downward facing dog. Again, check in, notice how your legs feel now, your hips feel now. Gently, you'll step your left foot between your hands. Again, hands come to the blocks or maybe they stay on the floor. Engage the back leg. Think of separating your knees apart. So the right leg goes back, the left knee comes forward. And then when you're ready, you'll lower your back knee down to the mat. And then you're drawing your chest forward and through. And you can come up as much as you want, but you might just be totally fine here. And that might give you enough of a stretch across the front of your right quad, right thigh. Great. Gently, you'll go ahead and shift your weight back, straighten your left leg long. Pull the left toes back towards your face. If you need to slide your left heel forward, slide your left heel forward. If you need to walk your blocks back, walk your blocks back. But you just pause and you breathe. Nice work. As you're ready, go ahead and shift your weight forward, plant the foot, plant the hands, last downward facing dog. Notice how your feet feel. Notice how your legs feel. Notice how the spine feels. When you're ready, you'll shift your weight forward into plank. Lower slower than you want to through chaturanga. Take a cobra if you'd like, or an up dog. It looks good, Erica. Push down in your hands a little bit more there, Erica. Yeah. And then when you're ready, make your way back onto your abdomen. Find Nakrasana once again. So this time, separate your feet a little wider than you might have the first time. Stack your hands right on top of each other. And then notice if you want to walk your hands to the opposite elbow. And then notice if you want to walk the elbows a little closer to your chest. And then you're just going to take about and Barbara, you can walk your arms forward just a little. They don't need to come back so much. There you go. And you just take a couple of breaths here and you notice how this feels. By a couple, maybe we should think about taking 5 more deep breaths. What does balance look like for you? I think the interesting thing I found with this practice was it was very not the way we would normally do it. And I think that sometimes that's kind of how our lives work. Like what brings balance for you may not bring balance for someone else. Like for instance, I remember as a kid, my youngest, well, not my youngest, but my younger brother could drink coffee. It didn't it didn't wind him up or anything. It was like a sedative. Like he was a kid and he could drink coffee. And to this day, he still drinks quite a bit of coffee. But for me, it doesn't work. Like I can't drink it. It winds me up too much. Um, and there are other similar things that happen for all of us that are like that. And we just kind of have to find our own way. And sometimes it means we do have to let go of what we think we ought to be doing or how we think we ought to be doing it. As you're ready, you'll extend one arm alongside your ears and you'll roll over to that side and then make your way onto your back. When you find yourself onto your back, I encourage you to explore constructive rest first. So soles of the feet are on the floor, feet are outer hip distance apart, knees are towards each other. And then you'll wrap your arms around the torso in whatever way feels good to you. And as you settle into the shape here, I invite you to just notice what it feels like might bring an extra state. Oh my God, an extra state of balance to you. Some of you might choose to stay here. Some of you might want to do legs up the wall or legs on a couch. Some of you might want a couple of twists. Some of you might be straight up ready for Supta Baddha Konasana or Shavasana, but you notice what's true for you. You've got a couple of minutes, so I do encourage you to really take the time to maybe explore. Sometimes in order to find balance, we have to try something and then ascertain whether or not it worked for us. Sometimes we know, but we don't always have the courage to do. So whatever you're doing or not doing, allow yourself to just check in and notice the experience that you're having, how your breath is moving, how the body is responding, where there's a sense of ease and openness, maybe a sense of reticence or tightness. And those that are still in movement, you continue to do you. As you're ready, we'll start to make our way to our final resting shape. So something that is symmetrical, whether it's legs up the wall, Supta Baddha Konasana, legs on a couch, Shavasana, whatever works for you is perfect. And you just want to make sure that if you're in a space where you are cold or you tend to get cold in Shavasana, oh, Lord, you wrap yourselves up if that would be nurturing to you. And then as you find yourself in your final shape, go ahead and exhale all the breath from your mouth. And then take a big breath in, followed by a big breath out. And you'll do that 2 more times. Big breath in and big audible breath out. At the end of your third exhalation, you'll just allow the breath to fall into its natural involuntary rhythm. And then your task is to just simply let your awareness stay rested on the breath. And then whenever you notice that the mind has wandered, you just simply notice that and then come back to the breath. And I'll leave you here with you for a couple of minutes, a couple of breaths. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready, you'll allow movement to re-enter into the physical form in whatever way feels good to you. From there, you'll make your way to one of your sides. Take a couple of breaths on your side. And then slowly use your top hand to press yourself to a tall, comfortable seat. When you are vertical, I do encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block or a blanket, a pillow, your feet. Sit on something so the spine's vertical. And then make sure you feel comfortable. You'll then take your left hand, turn your left palm to face up, tuck your index finger into the base of your thumb. And then if you're feeling like you need grounding, turn your palm to face down. If you're feeling like you need inspiration, turn your palm to face up. And then you'll take your right hand, bring the palm in front of your face, tuck the middle and index finger down, draw the right thumb to the right nostril, the pinky finger and the ring finger to the left nostril. Retuck your elbow in so it feels like you can sit tall through the spine, and then gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. When you're ready, you'll close your right nostril and draw the breath in through the left. Top of your inhalation, go ahead and close your left nostril and exhale out through your right. When you need to, draw the breath in through your right. Top of your inhalation, close your right nostril and exhale out through the left. You'll repeat that 2 more times on your own, just slowing down the breath, taking the time it needs to find its own sense of rhythm, and cultivating the ability to trust in that rhythm. The third time your breath exits through your left nostril, you'll gently lower your right hand. When the right hand lowers, let it match whatever's happening in the left. And then just notice the breath. Your sense of balance, your sense of equilibrium, harmony, homeostasis, as it were, is completely unique. Sometimes it requires that you do things that don't always make sense logically or don't make sense to others. But the more that we can trust in that inner knowing, I think the greater we'll be able to navigate the things that test our balance, whether it's emotional, physical, literal. So as you take your last 3 breath cycles here, I invite you to just tap into that part of you that knows, and just send loving breaths to deepen that connection to that part of you. The end of your third exhalation, you'll guide your hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and then lift your sternum to your thumbs. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through the nose. Audible exhale out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May your words be kind. And draw our thumbs to our heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the balance within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the balance within each of you. Namaste.